Counsel.
Yeah, certainly is. Let's talk more about it now with Jamil Jaffer. He's a former counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for National Security. Jamil, thank you so much for being with us here. When you take a look at this indictment, how strong do you think the DOJ's case is? Do you see any weaknesses here?
Well, they have a decent case if they can prove all the facts in the indictment. I think the challenge they face is twofold. One, they come right all the way up to the line of thinking about an insurrection charge. They don't charge it, right? That seems to be a defect, right? Jack Smith talked about it yesterday at his press conference. He starts out talking about the heroism of the Capitol Police, but isn't directly charged that offense in the indictment. On top of that, these questions of free speech, the indictment itself says the president can, say these things, tell these lies if he wants to. But apparently it says he can't go further and then conspire to obstruct an official proceeding or defraud the United States with his lies. That's a gray line and a tough area, not one that's clear what the Supreme Court might do with.
Because a lot of critics looked at what Trump said that day and said he incited people, he prompted people to go up there. But in your view, is Jack Smith seeing this as too much of coming into clash with the First Amendment, that he feels that just may be a path that he won't succeed along?
Well, that's the hard part, because we know what Cassidy Hutchinson told the committee. Now, maybe Jack Smith isn't sure he can rely on that testimony, but what she said was the president knew that people in the audience were armed. He said, let them come in. They're not here to harm me. Raises the question, who were they there to harm, right? And then he says to those very people who he understood were armed, go to the Capitol. I'm coming with you. We're going to solve this thing, right? I mean, if that doesn't amount to insurrection, right, what does it amount to? So you got to ask yourself, well, if it's okay to bring up the First Amendment concerns with defrauding the United States, why not raise the insurrection point? What's going on here? And if he's got a weak First Amendment case, how does it not undermine his defrauding case as well?
The indictment says that in a conversation on January 1st, the then Vice President Mike Pence told Trump that he didn't think there was a constitutional basis for the Vice President changing the election results, doing what Trump was pressuring his Vice President to do. In response, Trump told Pence, quote, "You are too honest." How beneficial is that to prosecutors as they're trying to prove that Trump knew all of this, that it was lies?
Well, it's all of these things. It's not just what Pence told him. It's what Pence's counsel told the staff. It's what his campaign officials told the president over and over again. You didn't win this election. There was no fraud. Multiple state officials, Republican state officials who supported and voted for Donald Trump, told him there is no fraud in our states. And yet he kept going out publicly saying there's fraud, talking about the Pennsylvania voters, talking about the Georgia voters, right, dead voters and the like. He knew, at least based on what he was told by Republican officials in all those states and the vice president, he didn't have a leg to stand on. The vice president wasn't with him, and yet he tweeted out right before the certification of votes, the vice president and I are agreed he can act.
But that you're too honest, that implication of I'm not being honest, you're saying that doesn't necessarily matter?
Well, I think that people understand that Donald Trump has a different version of what facts are. He said it. He's told people. We all know that, Donald Trump plays fast and loose with the facts, right? That should come as a surprise to nobody. He largely admits that himself all the time.
Jamil, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.